Consider this. Ted Bundy, one of the most notorious serial killers of the 20th century, was a law student. He was charming, intelligent, and handsome. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The fact that someone who could so easily blend into society was responsible for such heinous acts. Bundy was not the image of evil that one might expect when picturing a serial killer. He was not a recluse, nor was he socially awkward. He was in fact quite the opposite. Bundy was a man who had it all figured out. He was studying law, on the path to becoming a successful professional. He was charismatic, often described as the life of the party. His good looks and charm were disarming, causing many to let their guard down around him. His intelligence was undeniable and he used it to his advantage, manipulating those around him with ease. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. Beneath this facade of a successful, charming law student, Bundy was harboring a terrifying secret. A secret that would ultimately lead to the deaths of at least 30 young women. It's this terrifying juxtaposition of Bundy's public persona and his hidden monstrous nature that makes his story so horrifying. Newspaper clippings from the time highlight Bundy's educational achievements and his charismatic personality. Court documents reveal a man who was well-spoken and articulate, even when faced with the most serious of charges. These documents paint a picture of a man who was seemingly normal, who could easily fit into any community unnoticed. But these same documents also reveal the other side of Bundy. The side that committed brutal murders with chilling efficiency, the side that was capable of such horrific crimes that they still send shivers down our spines to this day. Beneath this veneer of normalcy, however, lurked a monster capable of unspeakable atrocities. And that, dear listeners, is the dark reality of Ted Bundy. A man who, on the surface, seemed like any other, but who was hiding a darkness that few could even begin to comprehend. Bundy's reign of terror spanned several years and multiple states. This charming and intelligent man hid a sinister secret behind his captivating smile, a secret that would shock the nation and etch his name into the annals of infamy. Ted Bundy was not just a murderer, he was a manipulator, an actor. Court documents paint a chilling portrait of a man who used his charisma to lure unsuspecting victims. He often feigned injury or disability, using a cast or crutches to appear harmless. Once his victims let their guard down, he would strike, overpowering them with brute force. His violent acts were not random or impulsive, they were calculated and methodical. Newspaper clippings and interview transcripts reveal a man who took pleasure in the suffering of others. He would revisit the scenes of his crimes and even kept macabre souvenirs as a way to relive his horrific deeds. Eventually, the sheer scale of his murder spree began to unravel. As the bodies started to pile up across multiple states, authorities began to connect the dots. Patterns in the victims' profiles and similarities in the crime scenes pointed to a single perpetrator. But Bundy was no ordinary criminal. He was highly intelligent and well-educated with a degree in psychology. He was always one step ahead of the police, changing his appearance and modus operandi to avoid detection. His ability to blend into society and maintain a semblance of normalcy made him all the more dangerous. However, despite his cleverness, Bundy could not outrun justice forever. The trail of destruction he left behind was too vast to ignore. His capture was only the beginning of the end, as the full extent of his crimes was yet to be uncovered. It's difficult to comprehend the extent of Bundy's malevolence, the depth of his depravity. But it's crucial to remember that behind his charm and intelligence lurked a monster. His charm and intelligence were weapons, used to deceive and destroy. Bundy's trial was a media circus, with the killer often taking center stage. Theodore Bundy, the infamous serial killer, was no stranger to the limelight. His trial proceedings, heavily documented in court transcripts and newspaper clippings, painted a vivid picture of a man determined to control his own narrative. Bundy was not simply a defendant, he was a spectacle, a man who reveled in the attention he received. He insisted on representing himself, using the courtroom as his stage. His attempts to play the role of his own defense attorney were unconventional, to say the least. Bundy would often manipulate the proceedings, using every opportunity to showcase his charm and intelligence. His charisma was disturbing, drawing the media into a whirlwind fascination with his persona. The public, too, was captivated, their horror mingling with a morbid curiosity. Undeniably, Bundy had turned his trial into a perverse performance. However, the spectacle could not overshadow the gruesome evidence. The court was presented with chilling details of his heinous crimes, leading to a swift, guilty verdict. Bundy was sentenced to death. A conclusion that was met with both relief and dread. The man who had terrorized so many was finally brought to justice, yet the shadow of his atrocities lingered. The aftermath of Bundy's conviction was equally as tumultuous as his trial. His execution in 1989 was met with a mix of celebration, relief, and protest. Despite his death, Bundy's name remained etched in the annals of crime history, a chilling reminder of the evil that can lurk beneath a charming facade. Even after his execution, Bundy continued to send ripples through society. His confessions, his interviews from death row, his chilling smirk, all were dissected and analyzed, fueling the public's fascination and fear. The man was gone, but his monstrous legacy remained, continuing to inspire books, films, and nightmares. Even in death, Bundy's legacy of terror continues to haunt. It's chilling to think that such a monster could hide in plain sight. Ted Bundy, a name that sends a shiver down the spine, was not just a man, but a startling reminder of the evil that can lurk beneath a charming facade. His heinous crimes left a dark mark on history, an indelible stain on humanity's conscience. Reflecting on this grim tale, it's easy to get lost in the horror and shock. But let's instead focus on the lessons we can glean from this chapter of our past. Bundy's case underscores the necessity of vigilance, the need to look beyond appearances and question what lies beneath. It reminds us that justice, though sometimes slow, must always be sought. As we remember the countless victims of his brutality, let's not just mourn their loss, but honor their memory. Let's learn from their stories. As we remember the victims, let us also remember the importance of vigilance, awareness, and the pursuit of justice.